Welcome back to DBL. We first told you about this chilling story in October. A skull sat on a mantle inside a home. Investigators later realized it was the remains of a missing man. Here's an update in DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
It's one of the most bizarre and twisted cases Tennessee investigators have seen in years.
Now, this next story could be upsetting for some of you. Authorities say a dog found a human skull that was then later placed on a fireplace mantle inside a rental home.
Let's go back to where it all began. It was spring 2019. The Sexton family rented out their Tennessee home to a new resident, Brian Kennedy. That March, the homeowner's son stopped by the rental and noticed something odd. He spotted a skull on the fireplace mantle wearing sunglasses, so he asked the new homeowner about it. Brian said he was walking in the woods near the home when his dog spotted the skull.
A homeowner in Bell County found a human skull in their backyard. They found it in the Pineville community off Harbell Road.
He brought it inside and put it on his fireplace. The landlord turned it over to forensic experts in Knoxville, where they quickly realized it belonged to a missing man, 79-year-old Junior Willie McCann. He went missing from his home in September 2012 and was never seen again by his family. So, who was this man and how did he die? There's speculation he could have been killed by a family member who is now dead. For now, police are following every lead and tip, and it's still a very active case.
Earlier, Tori and I spoke with a reporter who's working on this case. Take a look.
We're joined by senior investigative journalist John North from 10 News in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank you for being here, John. The skull unbelievably sat on a fireplace for a year before anyone noticed. Do you believe that the new tenant Brian had any idea it was a real skull or a missing person, or was it just a mantle piece of art?
Well, common sense would dictate he had to know it was the real thing. His dog had found it, some months before when they had been out walking. I've seen pictures of it. It's a human skull. It's not a white plastic skull. So, yeah, I have to suspect he knew it was a human being, and they had also found Native American remains often and other evidence of them in the woods behind that house before. So my guess is he knew what it was, but I guess he just didn't think anything about it.
Wow.
What do you think happened to this missing man? Do you think his family was involved in his disappearance in any way?
There have been some rumors and some suspicion in the community that that's what happened. Mr. McCann had gone for a walk. He lived in the house where the skull many years later would be placed on the mantle. He disappeared. He was about 79, and then his brother reported him missing about 4 days later. So something happened to him, and it took a little while before anybody said, well, where's Junior?
That's the problem, that time in between.
A lot of questions here.
So many questions.
If my dog found the skull, I think I'd notify somebody.
That would be normal common sense, Jeffrey, yes. John, what will it take to break this case, and what new leads are police pursuing?
They don't really have a whole lot right now, Tori, and honestly, time is the enemy.
Right.
Because it was so long after the skull was realized that it was sitting on the mantle. The best that they've been able to do in recent months is to confirm that it was Junior. They've only got the skull. When they did a search of the woods behind the house, they found no other parts. There's no evidence of foul play in regards to the skull, so they don't really have a whole lot to work with.
There's so many questions.
When is this appearing on Netflix, John?
Well, I think you could do a whole season about East Tennessee, or maybe a whole 10 years.
Wow. I mean, that is a
lot of very interesting, though.
A lot of twists and turns and wondering what people knew and what they didn't know. To learn more about this story, I will be doing this. Just visit WBIR.com. You can also listen to a brand new podcast episode about this case. You just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. John, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you.
We'll be right back.